Good morning, YouTube. We're getting ready to get started this morning. I have a couple right now. So far, I only have one, but there are at least two or three Bernie Sanders supporters who are going to jump on the show with us this morning. And we're going to talk about what happened over the weekend and have a little debate, and we'll keep going from there. All right, so hold tight. We're starting in about right now.
And here we go.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is
not merely peace in our time, but peace in all time.
I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Did you think no one was watching?
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
your mission.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
To reclaim the American dream.
To be given the right of human beings.
Be afforded equal rights and equal opportunities.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you're hearing his voice, you're hearing the voice of reason.
You've certainly come to the right place.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am your host, Benjamin Dixon. It is Monday, July 20th, 2015, and it has been an eventful weekend. We have had seen so many major political things happen this weekend, and one of the things that I want to discuss the most is what happened at the Netroots Nation 2015 with Bernie Sanders, with Martin O'Malley, and Black Lives Matter. So I've invited a couple of friends, new friends. I don't really know them yet, but by the end of the show, we're going to know each other pretty well. I called on a general call out to YouTube and Twitter for anyone who wanted to come on and defend and debate Bernie Sanders. Now, we'll get around to Martin O'Malley at another date. But the reason I wanted to talk about Bernie Sanders was not just because of his response to the Black Lives Matter protest, which I'll play a clip of it and I'll let you see for yourself. And of course, you make your own decision. I'm just going to put it out there, and then I'm going to weigh it down with my opinion. But then you still have to be able to dissect my opinion from what you think, and that's the way we do it. But I only not want to respond to his response, but I want to respond to the reaction of a lot of his supporters. It got so bad that yesterday on Twitter, the hashtag BernieSoBlack started to trend nationwide, and it was quite the bit of a parody of Bernie Sanders. And so, full transparency, I like Bernie. I do like Bernie for a lot of reasons. Mostly, to be honest with you, I mostly like anyone but Hillary. And it's not because, ladies and gentlemen, it's not because I hate Hillary or I have anything against Hillary. I just have something against dynasties. I have something against, it's bad enough that we're an aristocracy, but, these dynastic tendencies that we have in the United States to have another Bush or another Clinton, that bothers me. So I'm really pushing for a rigorous, a fiercely fought primary, so that when we come out, whoever survives this, they'll be that much stronger. And if Hillary comes out on top, or whoever comes out on top, they would have earned it. Bernie comes out on top, O'Malley, they would have earned it. So nothing needs to be given to anyone in the United States of America, because hell, they're not giving us anything. We have to work for everything, and so do they. All right, so on the line, I have Shay, and I have Chelsea, and I believe I have one more person coming on. Now, before I bring them on, I want to make sure everyone is clear that these are just supporters of Bernie. They don't represent his campaign. They don't represent any that I know of. I don't think they represent any official capacity. But I brought them on because it's not so much the campaign right now that I have a concern with. It's the regular supporter. And I posed a question about 2 weeks ago on the show, and I asked the question of whether or not Bernie Sanders can successfully go after the black vote without risking I titled it the Reddit support base, but basically without risking his normal support base. And we can unpack that a little more. But this weekend, it started to look like that was going to be a problem. All right, so let me not load this up a little more. I'm going to go ahead and bring on Shay, and I'm going to bring on Chelsea. Shay and Chelsea, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, Shay and Chelsea.
Okay, cool.
I don't think I can hear you, Chelsea. Are you there? I can see you fine, Chelsea, but I can't hear you yet. So if you can just work on your microphone. No, I still don't hear you, but I definitely see you. So you're there. And whenever you get your microphone ready and working, you can just jump in the conversation. All right. So the first thing I want to do, I want to play a small portion of Bernie Sanders on Saturday. And this was at the Netroot Nation. And this is Black Lives Matter interrupting his speech. And it was an interruption. I mean, quite frankly, it was an interruption, and they cut him off, and they had something that they wanted to say. Let me just slide this over to the right. Okay, I think I heard a little something, Chelsea. Let me slide this over to the right moment that we want to inspect, and then we'll let it go from there. So this is Bernie Sanders, and this is the Black Lives Matter. This is the Black Lives Matter protest on Saturday. Let's listen in.
Couple of more minutes, and then we're gonna get.
I was told
Yeah. Watch me. A little shorter than that, sir. A little shorter than that. But go ahead. And then we're gonna get some specific questions.
And the issue is that it is. Okay. Shall I continue or leave?
Yeah. Hold on one second. Hold on.
It's okay with me. Listen, I don't have. Black lives, of course, matter. And I spent 50 years of my life fighting for civil rights and for dignity. But if you don't want me to be here, that's okay.
No, sir, we want you to. We want you to be here and address that and all the other questions.
I don't want to outscreen people.
No. We're not. Wait.
All right, the issue that we're talking about is that we live in a nation which has more wealth and income inequality than any major nation on earth, and worse than since 1928. And maybe it's time we did something about it.
Yes.
We are living in a nation in which the top 1/10 of 1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. Maybe we did something about that. Maybe it is time to have a government which represents ordinary Americans and not just powerful and wealthy campaign contributors. And maybe that is why.
A little bit of audio there. That actually was a result of the live feed. I don't know what they were doing there with the live feed. But, okay, so you saw in that segment, or you heard in that segment, you heard Bernie Sanders trying to give his regular stump speech, all the things that we like to hear from Bernie. But Black Lives Matter just was not having it. All right, so Shay, tell me, what were some of your initial reactions to that, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Can you hear me all right?
Okay,
cool. I just thought that was like really disrespectful because, like, I mean, like they could have just waited for a little bit, you know. That's what I thought, you know, like just wait for a little bit, let him finish, you know, and then maybe he could have addressed the questions and stuff, you know. That's what I thought at first.
Okay, Chelsea, did you get your mic working yet?
I think so.
Absolutely, I can hear you loud and clearly. Okay, so Chelsea, what was your reaction and some comments?
I mean, I think that they have every right to be as angry as they are, and they're looking for someone to fix it. And as a presidential candidate, they want to know how he's going to fix it. And I think they have the right to ask every candidate that because we need someone to fix it. But I do think that he's the only candidate who has really fought for civil rights, and that maybe he's the candidate you shouldn't yell at. And maybe there's a lot of candidates you should yell at.
Okay, so we have two different opinions on that, you know, basically the same thing, saying that Bernie is the guy, but Shay, you think that it was rude and it was, I don't know, want to put words in your mouth, but disrespectful. But you know, Chelsea, I appreciate your position in that, you know, there is something to be angry at, isn't it? There is something to be mad about, and they have grievances. And so you know, the reaction that I'm getting from online on Twitter and YouTube, and I do read comments, I read all the comments, maybe I shouldn't, but a lot of people are going to the point where they're dismissing Black Lives Matter. I can pull up, and actually I am going to pull up some of the comments, but you know, a lot of Bernie supporters have really gotten pissed off with Black Lives Matter, and I don't think that's the smartest move to actually take. Shay, what do you think?
Sorry, I couldn't really hear that. What was the question again?
The question is
Sorry.
We're seeing a lot of people, a lot of Bernie supporters who are taking your position, actually going a lot further, downright dismissing or trying to lecture or trying to silence Black Lives Matter, and I think that they're doing it to their own detriment. And I wanted to get your opinion. What do you think about the reaction, or have you seen reaction from a lot of people online with regards to Black Lives Matter?
Okay, of course, like, I mean, you know, like, I do support the movement, but I just feel the organization, the way they're going about it, you know, or the way they went about it on that specific event was wrong, because, like, you know, as we know, that Bernie is like one of the few guys who actually fights for minorities. I'm a minority myself, you know, so I do understand their frustrations, but they have to, like, let the man speak, you know, because there are a lot of other candidates out there who are, like, you know, completely dismissive, you know, but at least, you know, at least work with him, you know, and not, you know, put him in a situation where the black people are looking at Bernie Sanders and, like, you know, have a bad image of Bernie Sanders, you know what I mean?
Okay, so here's my thing, and I'm not a representative of Black Lives Matter. I'm just a political observer, right? Of course, you know, everyone's going to think because I'm black, I'm part of Black Lives Matter. No, they haven't. You know, they have people who created the hashtag and people who organize and they're active and they protest. And they're out there doing the work. So I'm not a representative of Black Lives Matter. But one of the things that jumps out at me is we're getting lectured, or they are getting lectured by people who were a part of the Occupy Wall Street movement. A lot of people who support Bernie Sanders were shutting things down. They've shut New York City down. They shut down, I mean, they protest President Obama. They booed Congressman John Lewis when he showed up in New York. I mean, this is a group of people who understands the power of protest. Protest is never convenient. And I'm stealing this from DeRay McKesson. Protest is never convenient. Protest is always necessary, and it's always disruptive, right? So why are we not? Why can we look at them and say they shouldn't have done it this way when we looked at Occupy Wall Street and a lot of you guys cheered it on? And I'll go to Chelsea for that, and then I'll swing back to you, Shay.
It's a good question. I think that some people feel alienated by the Black Lives movement because they don't know how to participate in it if they are not black, because it's something you don't know whether you're going to say the right thing or the wrong thing. And I think also a lot of people feel like, while, I mean, everybody knows that this is happening to black people more, they're targeting all poor people. The inequality and the oppression is happening to all poor people everywhere. They're taking advantage of poor people everywhere. While they definitely profile black people in larger numbers, they look at our clothes, they look at our hair, they look at our cars, they look if we have tattoos. They are profiling anyone who looks poor and looks like they can't fight it back.
Okay, so I'm going to come. I'm
to do each other.
Absolutely. I'm going to come back and address that a little bit. I want to go to Shay, and then I'm going to circle back. Go ahead, Shay.
Okay, I mean, like, I do get your point, but I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, I feel that they have no idea that what Bernie did in the past for the black people, you know, so I thought that, you know, they should have done a little bit of research, you know, and I understood that, you know, they could have protested, but, like, if you saw what happened to the other candidate from Maryland, they were, like, you know, they spent about, like, 15 minutes chanting on, and that's really disruptive to the event, and they're trying to get the message out. You know what I'm saying? So I just, you know, that's what I feel.
So, but again, now to quote, not quote, but to paraphrase DeRay McKesson, who, you know, and you know, he's worth quoting, especially on this point here. Protests are always disruptive, and you know, and I think a lot of people go into this this idea that because Bernie is a good guy, and Bernie has some great ideas for economic policy that I think most people would benefit from. I think all of us can identify with. A lot of us think that Bernie would be the stronger candidate to benefit African Americans. However, if Bernie is not able to and not ready to address Black Lives Matter in a substantive way on demand, because you have to understand, like, as much as we look to these guys as we I think venerate is the word, and we lift them up as people that we should be beholden to and respect, they are still representatives. They're trying to be representatives of the people. And so if the people demand something and they want to hear it right now, that's the time to do it, not to go with your regular stump speech. So my question is this: since protests are by nature disruptive, and we have grievances not only with America in general, but there are grievances with the Republican Party, and there are grievances with the Democratic Party, specifically the case that we feel, or they feel, and we feel too, I'm a part of that in that sense. I feel that the Democrats have a tendency to just say, relax, we got it under control, but it's not under control. So why should they be any more beholden to Bernie Sanders when they did Martin O'Malley even worse? You know what I mean? They had Martin O'Malley going off stage. They did Martin O'Malley so bad he went off stage chanting Black Lives Matter. So why should we pause and try to take a moment to give Bernie some type of extra respect that the urgency of the matter demands that he had an opportunity to start addressing it right away, but he didn't. Chelsea, we'll go to you.
Well, I think protest is the only tool that underprivileged people have, and it's something we can never let go of, because that's how we got women's voting rights. That's how we got black voting rights. If we didn't protest, if we didn't go out on the street, we never would have gotten those things. It's the only way that we have power, by joining together and standing out there, because we don't have the same tools that they have at the top. So that's what we can never let go.
Well, then let me unpack it with you a little bit more, Chelsea, and then Shay will come back to you. So you feel that what happened on Saturday in general, what's your just one or two words? How do you feel about what happened on Saturday with Bernie Sanders, and being that you are a fervent Bernie Sanders supporter?
I feel like I would have been one of the protesters out there, and I feel like it was a fantastic opportunity for him to showcase how much he's done for black rights and how much he's been a part of that movement, and I feel like he dropped the ball.
Okay,
Shay. He should have been prepared. He should have known her name. I think maybe it's possible he didn't know her name.
Absolutely.
He's so caught up in his own world.
Go for it, Shay. What do you, in response to, here's another Bernie supporter who feels like, it was necessary and it was a missed opportunity. What do you think? It was a missed opportunity for Bernie?
I think she's probably right, because in the past, I've heard some of his speeches, and he do not really address that. And I think in the future he's probably going to improvise a little bit, like he did in Dallas, and he spoke about the victims and stuff. So I think this is something he could work on. Yeah. I think he did well, but he could have probably done better. Yeah.
Okay. So here's the paradigm now. I'm gonna make you guys uncomfortable a little bit here. I think he did horrible. I think he really not only dropped the ball, but he showed a side of, and this could be, and I don't want to engage in ageism, but once you get a certain age, you just don't care anymore, and you're just going to say whatever the hell you say. You know what I mean? So it's not an insult to him, but I think he's of a certain age where he's set in his ways, and he came to speak about one thing, and he almost refused. But that was a bad sign to a lot of people. Like Bernie, you cannot engage this political movement that Black Lives Matter is. You can't engage them by being stubborn. And so in a lot of ways, while Martin O'Malley for the moment looked worse, and I'll play a clip, it looked horrible for Martin O'Malley, he listened, and he paused, and he stayed around. He did interviews afterwards. He apologized for dropping the ball. And so now a lot of people are their eyes are perking up and saying, Martin O'Malley, if he's going to get the message of Black Lives Matter, then in a lot of ways, Bernie Sanders really did himself a huge disservice on Saturday. So what would you say to all the people who are saying now, Bernie wouldn't listen to us, so now let's look at Martin O'Malley? Chelsea.
I've never seen Bernie act like that. I've never seen him he was a little bit rude, and kind of obstinate. I've never seen him act like that. I don't think that's a regular thing for him, but I think regardless of his age, we all kind of get in those moods, and I've been in one of those moods where it's normally something I would talk about, but I'm just not having it today, and maybe that's where he went wrong, though I do think he should do a public apology. But I also think that people should look into how much he's done for Black Lives Matter already, before there even was a Black Lives Matter, because he's done more than the other candidates, and the other candidates are not going to do anything more than he would.
Okay.
It's still the best option.
Okay, so right there, and I have to jump in right there because you keep reminding me of what I need to push back on, Chelsea. I hear you, and everything that you're saying is great, but you do realize yesterday the hashtag Bernie So Black came about as a result of people saying, well, Bernie did this in the past, Bernie did this in the civil rights movement, Bernie marched for this, and then someone had a really good response to that. They said that, we appreciate what Bernie did during the civil rights movement, but it's not the civil rights movement. The movement now is Black Lives Matter. So can Bernie, or actually let me make it as a statement and you can give a retort. Bernie Sanders cannot make it on the laurels of what he's done in the past. He can't keep citing that he marched with Martin Luther King. He can't keep telling us that he protested here and he boycotted there, because the question is not what you have done, but what are you going to do? Go ahead, Chelsea, and then we'll swing back to Shay.
I mean, maybe the focus isn't Black Lives Matter. Maybe the focus is all of our lives matter, and they should stop mass incarceration of all of us. And he has fought for mass incarceration and police brutality, and he's not just fighting for the black people. He's fighting for all of us. So it's about injustice everywhere and not necessarily just injustice to the black community. It's for all Americans that have no rights anymore. We have no rights to stand up against the people with power.
Okay, Shay, I'm going to let you go, and then I'm going to play a clip. Hold on. Okay, go ahead, Shay, you go.
Okay, I feel that, he did speak about what he's going to do. He did talk about community policing. He did talk about one of the root causes of the problem, which is the low income. In the low income, cities, you have all these crimes because of, people are not going to college, people are not having jobs. So he did address that, but I felt that the Black Lives Matter organization just wanted to hear Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I thought.
Okay, let me play something for you guys, and then I'll respond to both of you. And actually, I want to give any Bernie Sanders supporters who are and I appreciate you guys joining in, and I appreciate your balanced approach. But I want some angry Bernie Sanders supporters, some people, because some of the stuff, and this is what I know a lot of people say shit online that they would never say over a phone call, and I'll pull up some of the comments that they said. But I want to challenge any Bernie supporter out there who may be more upset, more pissed off, and just say, some of the stuff that you said online about Black Lives Matter. I want you to call in 857-600-0518 and let your voice be heard, because I want to make sure everyone's opinion is represented, and I get a chance to push back on everyone's opinion. All right, I'm gonna play Martin O'Malley, and this is Martin O'Malley when he made the mistake, and it was a mistake, of saying yes, all lives matter, and we know all lives matter, and we know that white lives matter. We know all, it's a humanity thing, but. I want to just play this clip really quickly, and we'll go from there.
We repealed it the third time we tried. Every life matters, and that is why this issue is so important. Black lives matter, white lives matter, all lives matter.
And I think you can hear, I couldn't get the video for you guys, but I think you can hear Elon, I was going to call him Musk, Elon James White saying, "Oh God," in the background. There is a political movement that has solidified around the concept that Black Lives Matter, not only a political movement, but a social movement that is in response to the disproportionate treatment and the killings of African Americans. Do you guys understand that when you vacillate and you go back to all lives matter, or you go to white lives matter, that it is a tacit insult? It may not be an intentional insult, but it is a tacit insult, and Black Lives Matter is just not having it. So Shay, and then Chelsea.
Yes, I totally understand that because right now the focus is on black people, so it's common sense, let's say if you're like, talking about grievances of a certain community, it doesn't mean that you ignore the other community, like for example, I'm a Middle Eastern man, like, so when somebody says Black Lives Matter, I'm not offended, so I think like Martin right there, he probably shouldn't have said that, White Lives Matter. He should have probably addressed, their grievances on that day.
Okay. Now, Chelsea, I play that for you because you said all lives matter. We know all lives matter. I think that goes without saying. And also, let me load this question up even more, and then I'll just let you rip with it. We know that all lives matter. We feel that in this time that white lives do matter a little bit more with regard to how police treat unarmed people versus people with guns. We've seen them be patient. We've seen them negotiate with people with guns, and then they pull up on Tamir Rice, and 2 seconds later he's dead. So we feel like we know all lives matter. We feel like white lives matter a little bit more right now, and we feel that anyone who distracts from saying Black Lives Matter, we feel like they're afraid. And if you're afraid to even say Black Lives Matter and just leave it there, then how can we trust you to carry our message or carry the message of Black Lives Matter into the White House and actually implement policy? Go ahead, Chelsea.
You're absolutely right. Black Lives Matter has every right to be ridiculously angry because the injustices that the black community faces are far different than the white community, and I get that, I do. But when you see these videos of the white guy with the gun who gets treated differently, it's usually an affluent white guy, because when you're in the poor neighborhood and they have the poor white guy, the treatment's completely different. And in my neighborhood, when the police come, the white people are just as afraid as the black people, because it's more about how they view us in where we are in life than what we look like.
Right. And you know what? One of the things I do on my show more than anything else is, and which is why I kind of have an affinity towards Bernie Sanders, is I unpack the reality of racism, and I see the economic factors that are underlying. And I see that racism is often a tool simply to implement to further economic disparity. I'll just put it like that. So I'm with you, but for the sake of Bernie Sanders' campaign and for the sake of any progressive campaign, I think everyone needs to realize that just if someone says black, who am I taking this from? I'm stealing this. Who said this? Jamil Smith from the New Republic. If someone says Black Lives Matter, then it's important that right now that you just say yes, yes they do. Black Lives Matter, and just leave it there. Why is it so difficult for politicians? And this is not even a Bernie Sanders problem, right? This is a Martin O'Malley problem. This is a Barack Obama. This is a Hillary Clinton. This is across the board. Why are people so afraid of simply saying yes, Black Lives Matter, and leave it there? Shay.
Okay, just like yesterday, I saw a comment on Bernie Sanders' one of his Facebook posts when he said Black Lives Matter. There was somebody, I think a white guy, who said that like all lives matter, and I'm like, unfollowing you or like unliking you or something like that. So sometimes I feel that they may be afraid of losing the white voters or like some other non-black voters. I just think that, yeah.
And that's exactly why 2 weeks ago, and a lot of people didn't understand why I would pose this question, but I asked the question: can Bernie Sanders and can any Democrat, because this is saying right now, this is a pivotal point, this is saying a lot about the Democratic Party. And before I even finish that sentence, let me go off tangentially. Even though we are having this little powwow with the Democratic Party, I think we are all aware that the GOP right now, the modern Republican Party, they're just not an option, because they're going to exacerbate all the economic factors that lend to the problem that we're talking about right now. They're going to lend to they're not an option. So us giving the Republican Party, the Democratic Party rather, a chin check right now does not mean that we're going to go and support the GOP. Now, with that being said, this is saying a lot about the Democratic Party, not the politicians, but the people in the general electorate. Why are so many people who are ostensibly progressive. You're supposed to be progressive. You're supposed to be for equal justice and equality and all these things. Why are they so intimidated and so fearful and so reticent to get on board with Black Lives Matter, either socially, which they should, just it's a good social cause, or politically, because this is a fierce political movement? Chelsea.
I think that the difference here is that if I had a nicer car and nicer clothes, the police would no longer profile me. But if I were black, no matter how nice my car is or how nice my clothes are, they're still going to profile me. There's nothing, no matter how affluent you are as a black person, you are still going to get profiled. Whereas if you're a rich white person, then it's okay. Because the only thing it's okay to be in this country is a rich white person. Preferably a rich white male.
I was going to say you might want to throw
white women mean anything.
Okay, so then both of you guys, I think you guys are in agreement. I think I hear you guys loudly and clearly. I think that what you're saying is going to be necessary for Bernie Sanders' team to incorporate. However, I still have big questions, a big question mark over Bernie Sanders supporters, and I'll show you why. I'm going to pull this up and put this on the screen just so you can see. And these are public comments, so everyone can go see them. Let's go to the top of this. So of course I put out my call. Let's go down here. I just lost respect and support for Black Lives Matter. And then someone said they have no substance, no ideas or input, only blabber. And that's actually the nicest of all of them. I mean, I can keep going down. Talk about attacking the wrong person. Let's go down a little bit further. Oh, here we go. Bernie tries to get to the root of the problem, and these idiots want to talk about symptoms. I'm embarrassed for these people. Okay, that's, nothing wrong there, right? This is the worst audience I've ever seen. They think they are doing their cause justice by interrupting the only candidate who is standing up for them in a meaningful way. It makes my blood boil, and they are so damn stupid. I hear the two of you. I do. But I don't think that you guys represent and then correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that you guys represent the position of a lot of other Bernie supporters. So if I'm wrong, I can stand to be corrected. But if I'm right, what are you going to say to all of those supporters who are making it that much more difficult for the average Black Lives Matter participant to look at Bernie without getting upset? Because we don't only see Bernie, we see Bernie supporters. I'll go to Shay on that, and then Chelsea, you'll get the last word.
Okay, like when I first saw what happened, I was like, to be real with you, I was like equally as pissed, But I feel that you probably have to just calm yourself down and just just reach out to them, engage them on Twitter or Facebook, and so the people in Black Lives Matter will sort of understand that we are fighting for the same thing. I think that's the direction the Bernie supporters should head in right now, because I mean, of course they're pissed in the past, but right now that's the direction we gotta head towards in order to get the support of the 99% and win this thing. That's what I think.
All right, Chelsea, you have the last word.
I think, what the hell else are they supposed to do? They have to get the word out as much as possible, and a public venue like that where it's being recorded is the best option. I would go to every public speaking engagement I could with as large groups as possible, and I hope that Bernie gets on board and he starts representing that message as well, because that's the only option. It's the only option that people who are underprivileged have. We don't have the money to rent TV space or get in the media. They're not going to cover it in the media. You have to get out wherever you can, and good for you. Go everywhere you can.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Shay and I want to thank Chelsea. They are just your regular average Joe supporters of Bernie Sanders. We're going to take a break, and when I come back, I'm going to deal with the rest of the things that happened in the news. Guys, thank you so much. This is the Benjamin Dixon Show, and we will be back after this.
When you're ready to lose weight, why count, track, and worry over every meal? Jenny Craig makes it simple. Just walk into a neighborhood Jenny Craig center or give us a call. You'll meet your dedicated personal consultant who helps you reach your goals. Together, you'll pick out delicious Jenny Craig foods that you'll love and design a menu that fits your life. And the best part is that you can get started losing weight right away. Don't wait any longer to take advantage of our best offer ever. Call 1-800-JENNY20 or visit jennycraig.com.
This is the sound of salmonella gyrating on your undercooked chicken. And it looks like Mom might be taking it out a little early. Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. So use a thermometer to cook each type of meat to the right temperature. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
I'm making beef sliders for my friend Sandy. Nana taught me to always pull meat off the grill early so it's extra juicy.
Use a food thermometer to ensure ground beef is 160 degrees, or you could make people really sick. Sandy didn't think twice about the slider she ate until yoga class, when a nasty case of food poisoning turned her downward-facing dog into upward-moving lunch. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov and learn the steps Maria unwittingly leaves out. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer. Warm fleece on a cool day.
I want to be a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you're hearing his voice, you're hearing the voice of reason.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. All right. Okay, I have a caller on the line, but before I get to the caller, I want to make sure I make it clear that I did put a call out. I want to hear from Martin O'Malley supporters, and I really want to hear from some Hillary supporters who I want to hear what you guys have to say, because you know, and quite honestly, you guys aren't going to get a free pass just because Hillary wasn't there and she didn't have to confront that crowd. Actually, I think it's working worse for Hillary because she wasn't there. You know, so at least we're having these serious conversations with Bernie's supporters, and Martin O'Malley. I mean, he's going full fledged. He made a complete about face. So, but it's open. If anyone wants to represent, not represent, but if you support Hillary or you support O'Malley or anyone else, you can have the same opportunity as the other callers guests did. Okay, I have a call on the line. What's your name? What's your comment or question?
Oh, hey man, my name is Aaron Reeves. I just wanted to, I can't say I'm a Bernie supporter necessarily, but I guess wanted to pose this from a different angle.
Okay.
I guess of all the Democratic candidates, I mean, if you just really have to look at them at face value right now, who would you say is the best for Black people? And personally, I would say that's Bernie Sanders, and if that's so, I understand. Like, I'm Black, and I understand the anger, so I'm not completely like on the camp of like all these people are idiots. But like, was that the wisest time to do it? Like at this time to make him look so bad, because that just might turn a lot of the Black vote against him in a sense. And was that really the wisest time? I mean, I get it, like you want to address these things, but was there at the time? Like, is it?
Okay, so let me jump in there, because I think you. Yeah, I still have you. You didn't drop your signal. When is there ever a convenient time to address issues as urgent? And I'm going to be honest with you. If I have to be 100% honest, which I tend to be too honest sometimes, I cringed. I cringed when I saw it taking place, because I have this. I'm a person of structure and order, and I'm kind of a Napoleon complex guy. I would have responded really. That would have been if I was running for president, that would have been horrible for me, because just my natural personal tendencies, I would have told him to shut the hell up and let me talk. Right. So I cringed. I cringed when I saw it. But when I thought about it, I'm like, when was there ever going to be a better time? And here's the problem that Bernie Sanders has. Most Black people don't really know who he is. So even though this is it may look bad for Bernie, This is an opportunity for black people to get to know Bernie Sanders. And if he handles it correctly, and if his fans and his supporters don't mess it up, then it could actually work out for his good. Because look, if we can turn around and embrace, and it's a tenuous embrace, right? Martin O'Malley, because he was man enough to take his correction. He was man enough to stay there, and he changed his position, and he's getting with the program. If we can turn around and embrace Martin O'Malley after he said white lives matter, then by all means, this can work out good for any candidate. So my question back to you is, when would there have ever been a better opportunity? And can you not see that this could really work out good for Bernie in the long run?
See, I could, but here's my fear. And when I look at all the candidates, when I see Bernie, I see at the very least a very genuine person. I mean, the man's had the same kind of campaign for like 30 years. And when he says things like, oh, he doesn't want a lot of big money in politics, you can see that because he hasn't taken big money, everything from small donors. So he's very genuine. What I fear now is that people like Hillary are going to look at this and be like, damn, we need to really say something about Black Lives Matter. So they want to come at us. I don't look at Hillary as somebody that's genuine. I feel like she's going to say what needs to be said. And then when it comes to policy, she's like, oh, what happened? Where are you?
Mm-hmm.
But she's now she's going to say whatever she needs to say, because Bernie was one of the first people to really get attacked heavily like this. He was like, okay, we don't need to have what happened to Bernie Sanders. So let's fix our stuff and say the right things, so these people won't be mad at us and we'll get the black vote. But then when the time that policy comes around and they're answering to their owners, you know what I'm saying, like these big PACs and such, then they're going to be nowhere to be found, and it'll be too late by that point. And that's why I say, like, it's not that I don't mind if they kind of attack Bernie in that way, but like, it's kind of like, why is he the first dude? Because like, why is he the first one? So I get what you're saying. When would there have been a better time? I understand that. I really don't have an answer.
Man, you guys have such, you Bernie supporters are, and I know you're not a full-fledged Bernie supporter, but you guys have tunnel vision. Bernie did not get it half as badly as Martin O'Malley. Martin O'Malley took it to the chin. I mean, they whipped him so badly that cat went off stage clapping and chanting Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. I mean, so Bernie didn't get it as bad, first of all. So that's first. Second of all, the fact that Hillary wasn't there, that's going to work against her, because Hillary has to overcome two things. Most people don't think she's genuine. That's just, it is what it is. You know what I mean? We don't think she's genuine with her economic ideas. We think that she's trying to take away from the Elizabeth Warren contingency, but if she's going to have to go above and beyond for us to believe her genuinely. But here's the bad news for Bernie and everyone else. Hillary already has a stronghold because of name recognition. I think she's polling at 93% amongst minorities. So any publicity at this point is going to be better. I don't think it can get worse than 3%. If Bernie, O'Malley, and everyone else handles this correctly, and if they help their people, this is the thing. Folks on Twitter and commenters on YouTube, they have more power now than ever to either help embrace a segment of our populace or to make us recoil. And if the average guy, that's why, two reasons I had average people on this morning was because, one, I couldn't get in touch with Bernie Sanders people. And then two, they are the people who really are the ones who are making us we didn't start Bernie so black, or they didn't start Bernie so black because of Bernie Sanders. They started it because of Bernie Sanders supporters. So it's important that the campaigns not only get it together, but that the campaigns do some type of outreach to their supporters to make sure they understand that they have more power now in 2016 than they ever did before. And they can help make or break Bernie, O'Malley, or Hillary. All right, man. Hey, I appreciate the call. I want to free up the lines for someone else to get in.
All right, man.
All right, take care. Anyone else wants to join in? I really want to hear from somebody who was just ticked off and isn't feeling anything that a Bernie supporter said this morning, because I know you're out there, because I saw your comments on YouTube and I saw your tweets. 857-600-0518. Okay, now we're almost out of time here, but I want to deal with a couple of other things that are happening in the news. I want you to take a look at the reason, the only reason the GOP has actually gotten upset enough with Donald Trump to basically ask him to get out of the campaign. It wasn't that he called Mexicans rapists and murderers. It wasn't because he was threatening the minority vote. He's making it worse for the GOP. It's because he insulted John McCain. Yesterday, or Saturday rather, during a campaign stop with the family, some type of research council with the, I forgot the location. But Donald Trump was asked about John McCain. And Donald Trump, being Donald Trump, he responds that he doesn't think that John McCain is a war hero. And that the only reason people think he is a war hero is because he got captured. And then he couldn't stop there. That would have been troublesome, but at least debatable. He went one step further and said, not only do people only think that he's a war hero because he was captured, I like people who aren't captured. Yeah, that's just what it is. Now, immediately, no sooner than he got off stage, demands from every corner of the Republican Party and even some Democrats, which I think they should have just been quiet and let this stand. But everyone from the Republican Party demanded an apology, demanded that he, get out of the campaign, that he drops out. And Donald Trump, being Donald Trump, he doubles down. All right. Now everyone is saying that he's finally gone too far. Here's my problem. Why is insulting John McCain, and I guess by virtue, he insulted all of the people who served. Why is that any less or more insulting and troublesome than him insulting an entire swath of the population? If you insult the troops and you insult John McCain, then understandable, he needs to apologize. But why is it taking this? Why are they more concerned, Republicans, with the feelings of John McCain and the patriotism trope that you always default to? Why is that more important than him calling immigrants rapists and murderers? And by virtue of that, he's basically insulting the entire Hispanic voting bloc. So all of this anger and this outrage that's coming from Republicans, I think they need to understand that Donald Trump he genuinely represents a strong portion of the population, of the base of the Republican Party. Let me qualify that. It's the base. And he did not jump up in the polls just because he's Donald Trump. He jumped up in the polls because he said this. He said this, and he also doubled down, and people love the fact that he doubled down. Okay, I got a tweet here I want to read. So attacking others because they don't drop the dozens of other issues important to focus only on Black Lives Matter is the right thing to do. I'm assuming that's what it says. I'm reading that tweet because of who it came from. And I love this person. I love her because she comes from the same family as Randy Rhodes. Nicole Sandler just tweeted me and she said, so attacking others because they don't drop the dozens of other issues important to focus only on Black Lives Matter is the right way to go. So let me push back on that. It's not an attack. It is a protest. It is taking and seizing the opportunity at a platform that has presidential candidates to express your grievances. I think what we're missing with regard, and sorry, anyone who was interested in the Trump conversation, it's over. I'm going back. I think that it's interesting that we cannot see that what they did is the quintessential democratic expression. That's what we do in America. We have been interrupting, we have been protesting, we have been shutting stuff down since 1776. I think people are offended because it's somebody that they like. We like Bernie, we like O'Malley, we like these folks. But the fact of the matter is that it doesn't matter who was on that stage. That was the opportune time and they took advantage of it. So it's not about putting other issues to the side. Or actually, let me unpack that. Let me unpack that for a second. Part of it is about putting some other issues to the side because Black Lives Matter genuinely feels that Black issues have been put to the side by the Democratic Party for far too long. And I think that anyone who looks at it from an objective point of view could at least acknowledge that's a possibility. it's a very strong possibility that somewhere around 1964, when they started to get the black vote and we switched over from the Republican Party, I think the Democratic Party felt that their job was done. And, you know, there are issues that are specific to the black community that Barack Obama has not addressed, right? Everyone thinks that we have a black president and everything should be better, but Obama has not addressed it in a meaningful, substantive way. I think he's getting around to some things in his last 100 days, and we'll wait and see. But the Democratic Party as a whole has not addressed it. And let me put it like this: when we vote with the Democratic Party, and now I'm speaking as a black person, right? Not just as a progressive, but I'm speaking as a black person. When we vote with the Democratic Party, a lot of times it's in opposition to the Republican Party more than it is in support of the Democratic Party, right? We will, for so many years, we have bitten our tongue. We have turned a blind eye to our dissatisfaction with the Democratic Party because we agree with you on this. The Republican Party is not an option, not in this modern iteration. If you talk about the Republican Party from the 1800s, then maybe. But the Republican Party right now is not an option. And what they're doing, they are simply taking advantage of their political power. What else are they supposed to do? That is exactly what we do as Americans. So it's not about attacking, it's about democracy and the fact that we have the right to protest. And then two, it is not just about pushing other issues to the side, because you do realize anything that is fixed in the black community is going to benefit the entire nation. You cannot fix systemic oppression in the black community and not fix it for every other community, because it disproportionately affects the black community. You cannot address the police state in the black community without fixing it in every community, because if there is a police state, it has started first in the black community. All right, caller, what is your name and what is your comment or question?
Yeah, my name is Reed, and I just wanted to, I was doing some research, and I didn't know about that Bernie So Black hashtag. So when you mentioned it, I Googled it, and I was kind of confused. Like, could you explain what it is? Like, is it in favor of Bernie? Because, what I found on Google, it seemed like it was black people in support of Bernie, but then the way you were talking about it, it sounded like it was people against Bernie.
Yeah, so Bernie So Black is a parody hashtag. They're essentially saying that Bernie is, so once Bernie supporters started tweeting about all the things that he's done in the past, someone just, wittingly came up with, oh man, Bernie So Black, in the sense that he gets a pass. Bernie gets a pass because he marched with King. Because every time we bring up Black Lives Matter and Bernie Sanders, the first thing they say is Dr. King. He marched with Dr. King. Well, yeah, that was a long time ago. So it's a parody of Bernie Sanders' efforts with the black
Oscar
community.
So White.
Yeah, is very similar to Oscar So White. Go ahead.
Okay. So you're saying that you kind of halfway touched upon it, but you didn't really delve into it. How it was almost how you said something about the Reddit vote, how you almost lost the Reddit vote. Is like, how can you connect? How are you connecting the Reddit vote or his current vote, as you later on said, his current supporters? How are you connecting that with the Bernie So Black?
So Reddit has Reddit is very. I don't want to. No, let me start again. Reddit is not very diverse. There are black people, there are women, there are minorities, there are all kinds of people on Reddit, right? But if you look at the demographics of Reddit, it's it's overwhelmingly young white guys, right? And there's one thing that I know about Reddit, because if you spend any time on there, you would catch it. Reddit, it has a very the overwhelming opinion of Reddit that comes out of my experience with Reddit is that it's anti-social justice warriors, as they would like to coin them. There's a lot of things that they're have an antipathy towards, and Black Lives Matter and the manner in which that they approach their beloved Bernie Sanders was one. Now, I'm not making this up. I want you to go into the YouTube comments of the video we posted of Bernie Sanders, and you'll see the type of antipathy that I'm talking about. You'll see the type of rhetoric. I mean, everything from calling the women the C word, which I won't use. You know, there's a lot of words I'll say, but I'm not gonna say that one. To the bitches, to ignorance, and, you know, damn fools, and these people, all types of things that came out of the Bernie Sanders support base. Now, I understand being upset, but the reason I posed the question 2 weeks ago is, can Bernie Sanders reach out to the Black Lives Matter movement without losing the Reddit vote, is because of the type of vitriol that often comes from Reddit and the Reddit type users, right? And when I say Reddit, I'm using that as a way of addressing the angry, generalizing, right? So go for it.
Oh no, I think that's just about it. I was really just curious as to whether you thought that this Bernie so black, if it would affect that his current vote. Do you think that people saying Bernie so black is going to affect his current quote unquote Reddit vote, unquote?
I think Bernie, there's a saying that people attribute to Confucius, but it's not really from Confucius, that inside of every danger is also opportunity, and I just botched that up, but you get what I'm saying. Inside of every bit of danger, there's opportunity, but if you don't seize the opportunity, it can destroy you. So I think Bernie and O'Malley and everyone else, if they recognize the political, listen, you can do this either from a very sincere position of I agree with Black Lives Matter, or you can do this from a very pragmatic Black Lives Matter has political power, so we need to play politics, right? There's nothing wrong with either one. America's built on political negotiations. I think it would be foolish for anyone to dismiss or to try to lecture or to try to shame Black Lives Matter, because they are an organized political movement in the broadest tradition of America. They have political power. They will, listen, who else is organized right now like Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter rivals the Tea Party. Black Lives Matter rivals Occupy Wall Street, but they've gone one step further and they've gotten involved in the political process long before the primaries. So even if you just come from this from a very pragmatic point of view, you must recognize the efficacy of the Black Lives Matter movement. It's a hard pill for some people to swallow. Some people are going to get upset. Some people are going to think we don't need to cave in to this fascist, regime, all that. No, this is not fascism. This is democracy 101. And you can ignore them at your risk. You can dismiss them at your peril, because I do believe that they are the only organized force that is going to be a major power player in this Democratic primary. There is no Occupy Wall Street.
I know you're about to close, and I know you're coming up on the closing break, but I just wanted to say real quick that a couple of weeks ago, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was listening to NPR, and NPR was asking Bernie if he would say all Black Lives Matter, or if he would say all lives matter. And he was very much dodging the question. Mm-hmm. He would not answer in a yes or no answer. Now, and I was saying to myself, someone needs to tell the man there is a correct answer. There is not a diplomatic answer. There is a correct answer that addresses everyone. Yes, you say yes, all lives do matter. You say that, you go ahead and acknowledge yes, all lives matter. But then you follow up with that and say that currently we cannot ignore the fact that right now so many people in power feel that Black lives do not matter. And so we have to say, yes, all lives matter, but right now we have to address the fact that so many people think that Black lives don't matter.
And I agree with you. I mean, of course, I agree with you 100%. I want to address all the people who are panicking, all the people who are insulted, all the people who are furious with what happened. The bottom line is, even if you cannot get on board with the political, I'm sorry, let me start that. Even if you cannot embrace Black Lives Matter from a social perspective because you don't genuinely agree with them, you need to put on your political pragmatism hat and say, these kids, these adults, I'm sorry, they are a force to be reckoned with, and they will decide. I guarantee you this. When you look at the reach, if you look at the reach of Black Lives Matter, whoever learns from Netroots on Saturday and they learn to listen and they respect the political capital that Black Lives Matter has accumulated, they are going to win the nomination. And whoever ignores it and whoever tries to lecture it, whether you, I don't care if it's burning you right now, if it's pissing you off right now, if you're saying, God, I cannot stand them, you still need to put on your political pragmatism hat and say, but they are a force to be reckoned with, and we cannot ignore them. Folks, I've got to get out of here. I want to thank everyone who participated today. We'll be back on Wednesday with more. I didn't get to half of the things that I wanted to get to today, but that's all right. There's always Wednesday. This is the Benjamin Dixon Show. We'll see you next time.
When we, the Americans, are able to accept the fact that on that continent we are trying to forge a new identity for which we need each other, that I am not a ward of America. I am one of the people who built the country. Until this moment,
we are brothers. It's not a question of Jews or Christians or Muslims. We're all in the same boat.
We need each other.
Love is a condition so powerful. It may be that which holds the stars in the firmament.
Until this moment.
Love.
Until this moment.
Love.
Until this moment.
I come to you today to say that we can build a newer and better nation. I say we can do so, that we must do so, and that we will do so.
You've tuned in to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at www.thebenjamindixonshow.com.
All right, YouTube. See you guys next time.